Well, hello everybody. This is Sherry Joy Collier, and I am coming to you live on my Facebook group. I haven't done this in quite a long while. A lot has happened in our lives, so I stopped doing my live paint and pray along. So this isn't a paint and pray along necessarily. I just had an idea I wanted to share with you all because this is something I have been thinking about a lot lately, and it's God's promise of provision. So I thought I would read some verses today, and then what I am doing is I am just doing I did a little sketch in my art journal that was inspired by God's promises for provision. So if you've ever struggled with worrying about where your next paycheck is coming from, your next healing is coming from, your next anything is coming from, we can always rest that God is our provider. So I wanted to read these verses first real quick, and then I'm going to attempt to put my camera phone, my brand new camera phone, up on this thing looking down, and we'll we'll just do some fun, lighthearted journal painting and keep it really loose and quick. So let's start with the verses. So I love this one. This is the one that I'm actually going to paint on my little art journal painting today. Philippians 4:19. But my God shall supply all your need according to his riches in glory by Jesus Christ. Okay, Matthew 6:31 through 32 says, do not worry then, saying, what will we eat? Or what will we drink? Or what will we wear for clothing? For the Gentiles eagerly seek all these things. For your heavenly Father knows that you need all these things. And then Psalm 145:15 through 16, the eyes of all who look to you, and you give them their food in due time. You open your hand and satisfy the desire of every living thing. And that got me to thinking about every living thing. God doesn't just provide for humans, which of course he does. He provides for the animals. He provides for the plants, for everything on earth. Pretty amazing. Okay, last verse, Luke 12:24 through 26. Consider the ravens, they neither sow nor reap. They have no storeroom nor barn, and yet God feeds them. How much more valuable you are than the birds. And which of you by worrying can add a single hour to his life's span? If then you cannot do even a very little thing, why do you worry about other matters? So the other thoughts that came to me was that Adam and Eve were provided for. When they sinned and they realized they were naked, God knew they messed up, but even though they messed up, he still provided them with clothing. He did it. He provided them with clothing. Another big story that we all can think of is when Jesus fed the 5,000. People who were in the crowd listening to him teach, they hadn't brought any food. There wasn't any food anywhere. Jesus happened to have one little basket of loaves and fishes. I forget exactly how many, 5 loaves, 5 fishes. I don't know. Anyway, doesn't matter. The point is Jesus miraculously fed the 5,000. So he provided. So that just really does my heart good. Anytime I get to worrying, I remind myself of that. So now I'm going to make you a little dizzy, and I'm going to attempt to put my phone in here, and we're going to see how this goes. So first of all, let's flip it around. Oops, I don't know if I can do it that way. Okay, so I have just sketched with my pencil a little something, and I'm going to probably make this look a little different when I paint it, but I am going to attempt to put my new phone right here, and hopefully that shows up. Okay, yeah, it does. All right, excellent. Okay, so now I'm just going to grab paints that are really close by to me. So I'm going to start with the bird, I think. And for our precious little bird, I'm going to use some brown Let me grab my brown. Okay, the only brown I have on hand is my burnt umber, and I am going to mix some cream, some brown. Let's see, let's get this plate, this old plate, and we'll put this on here. And if you are here, if you're watching live and you're commenting, with my phone being up there at the moment, I can't see it, so I apologize. Okay, so I'm just gonna get some burnt umber in there, and I'm gonna make this pretty watery today. So let's just get our little bit of white on here. Actually, that's quite a bit of white. We're gonna need more, I can tell. Let's get a little bit more. Okay, and then for his chest, I'm gonna grab just a little bit of cadmium orange. Hopefully I can get it open. And I don't need much color at all, just like the tiniest bit, and I can't get it to come out of the tube. This tube's getting a little bit old, I think. So, and now I can't get the lid back on. All right, there we go. And let's remove that from there. Okay, and I also have a little bit of cad red I'm gonna put on his chest too, and I'm just the tiniest bit. Okay, so I'm gonna grab a small-ish brush. Let's see, is that enough? Okay, I guess that's small enough. Let's start with that. I'm gonna get a lot of water, and I'm gonna go into the brown, and I'm gonna pull that brown over here, and I'm gonna pull in some white right off the bat and just make this a real light beige to start with. And I'm just gonna kind of lay this color in first, and then I'm gonna come back over it with the darker colors. And again, I wanna kind of keep this loose. I don't wanna be super detailed and tight about it. So let's just kind of get that in. Let's put a ton more white in here. And now we're gonna come and we're gonna pull that white. And I'm just gonna let that white and that brown that's in my brush kind of blend. And we'll just pull him give him some cute little feathers here. And get that right up in there. Okay, now I'm gonna also just kind of lighten some areas in here. So let's just kind of pull in a little bit of lightness on his little head. And I can reshape his head when I go in to do the background later. And I'm also probably gonna have to end up coming back in and reshaping that eye a little bit too. Okay, so a little bit more white. Let's get a little bit more white right here. And just pull it in while my paint's still damp. And just kind of wisp it in. Giving him some feathers. Okay, I'm gonna wisp in some lighter shade here too. But then I did too much light, so now I'm gonna come back in and just kind of feather in some of this. Then let's come into the real dark brown and give his wings or his feathers some shadow, and pulling in some lines that are a little bit darker. So this is just my straight burnt umber, but it's on the brush that has kind of some white still on it and whatnot. Okay, I keep messing up the shape of his head, so I've gotta watch that. Okay, now I do want to pull in the color for his chest, so I'm gonna get the let's just use a different brush altogether. Okay, let's pull a little bit of orange and red together, and a little bit of white, and I want like the faintest bit of color on his chest. Don't want it to be super bright, so I'm actually gonna pull a tiny bit of that burnt umber into there and darken it down. Okay, so now I'm going to come right in here and just wisp in some color. And I'm looking at a sketch of a bird that has some color. So I'm just trying to get the colors kind of where I want it, and I can wisp it in later. Okay, so now I'm going to kind of wipe that off. I'm going to come into my brown and my white, and I'm just going to lighten up in some areas. That color is kind of a shocking color. So we'll just kind of give that chest of his just a little bloom. Okay, now let's go back to our darker color. Ooh, that's really dark. Okay. And we're just going to kind of come around that eye, but I don't like how dark that was at all. So let's pull in some whiter brown, some brown and white, I should say. Okay. And again, let's just give his head some. All right, now I am actually going to really start thinking about, and there's a little bit of shadow down here too. Okay, and I'm going to just use this same brush kind of on the side, and I'm going to pull his little legs right in there. And it's okay that it's thick, because I can go later and get the background color, and I can shape over some of that. So I'm laying down my background last. Okay. That brush was really not a good brush for that at all. Okay, now let's get out. I'm going to go straight to this brush, and I need my black. Where's my black? I'm going to use this black, so it's the only one I've got close by at the moment. So let's put just a tiny bit of black, and we're going to go right in, and we're going to do his eye. And his eye is kind of like a little, that's a way too big eye. His eye got really, really big. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to attempt, I only have this tissue, I don't have a paper towel. I'm going to attempt to make that eye a little bit smaller. But it doesn't look like it's going to work all that great. So I'm going to leave that just the way it is, and I'll paint over it when it's dry. So that's the beauty of acrylic paint. You can paint right over it when it's dry. Now, while I've got my small detail brush, I'm going to go right into this red, and I'm just going to put the berries on. He's got these 3 little berries on this branch here in his mouth. And this is what is reminding me of God's provision for the birds. And if he provides for the birds, how much more will he provide for me? Okay, so we've got the start to our berries. I might even grab just the tiniest hint of white to get on top of those berries. Okay, I'm going to leave those berries be, and I'm going to get my brown on my detail brush. Okay, go back into our brown, and I'll just do a quick little brown stem, branch, there. And I forgot to do his beak. His beak is pretty dark. let's see, I'm just going to start with brown. So for his beak, we're just going to come right in and lay down the brown. I can lay down some details on that beak when it is dry. Okay, now let's come back and let's redo this eye. Definitely don't want it to be this big. So just kind of painting right over some of that black color. Let's give him a happy little eye, if at all possible. Okay. And we'll pull in just a smidgen more of black. All right. Okay, then on top of that eye, of course, we'll just pull in a few little reflections, some white. That's good enough for now. There's actually some really nice light color around his eyes. So I'm just gonna get like a real creamy color, and I'm gonna come right around his eyes. And it just kind of lightens everything up. Okay, we'll see how that dries. See how it looks when it dries. All right, next I think I'm gonna let this really dry, and let's just play with some leaves. So I've got some, let's see, I have some phthalo green right here. So I'm just gonna use it since it's out. And I'm gonna grab a more round brush for this. And let's just lay some straight phthalo green down. And let's just see what that color does for us. And I'm gonna get a little bit of water on my brush. Okay, so we're just gonna kind of start. This is not a good brush, I can tell you that right now. I can feel that it's lost its edge, its ability to kind of paint without leaving streaks. So I might actually go in and change out my brush, because that brush is annoying. So here I am fishing around in my brushes. I found another one. This one works better, I think. So let's just get some quick little leaf shapes. And we'll see how we like that. And again, the whole point to this painting in the art journal with this verse is to just give our eye something quick to look at to pair with the verse, so that it just kind of makes the verse stick in our awareness and our memory a little bit better, to have like a visual with it. Okay, let's put a leaf here. And let's get these leaves pulled in here. Okay, there's some leaves there. And I'm just gonna kind of let it be decorative and not worry about it being realistic. So do you have an art journal? If you're watching this and you like to journal in your art journal, I'd love to know what your practice is. So this is just one way that I use my art journal. I use my art journal to actually practice first before I paint a canvas. And I also use my art journal to kind of paint my my feelings and expressions of worship and praise, and I'll paint my impressions of verses, Bible verses, or just even if like I've heard a quote that day that really resonates with me, I'll maybe write it in my art journal and then paint something to go along with it. So this is just kind of the one where I like to take, in this case, a Bible promise of God, and put some visual to it so that I will remember the verse. So this, again, keep this in mind when you're doing this type of art journaling. It's not about making it perfect. It's just giving yourself something fun to do, first and foremost. And then it's about giving your eyes something to pair with the Bible verse. Okay, so I can come back on here later when these dry, and I could add different colors of green right over the top of that if I so desired. In fact, let's see what happens when I take a little bit of this phthalo green and mix it with white. So we'll just kind of give a little white stripe to each leaf. It just it gives it a quick bit of detail. A little highlight, it's kind of quick. And we'll pull some in here. I'm gonna get a little water on my brush. So I'm just gonna pull a few of these in as well. Okay. Now I've got to start thinking about my background color and what brush I want to use for that. Probably I'll switch to this brush. And for my background color, I'm actually kind of favoring a yellowish, very light yellow though. I mean, not light. What am I saying? Goodness. Let's use a little, let's see about this, this is Naples yellow. Let's get a little Naples yellow on my plate. And I'm going to start with that just straight out of the tube. Straight out of the tube. Okay. So we're going to come in with our Naples yellow, and I'm just going to start laying it down. See how I'm liking that with everything else that's in here. And this little birdie's head got way too big, so I'm just going to pull the Naples yellow right over the top of that. And then I'm just letting the water from my brush, I'm going to thin that paint as I pull it out over the words. So my pencil written words, I can still see them, but it's got some color over them. So I'm just going to pull that up there. Let's get that yellow up a little higher. And I need to go back into my water. I'm going to take it all the way out to the edge of my page. Let's bring that yellow all the way up. So I had to turn that off real quick. Alrighty, where were we? Okay, so I'm just pulling my yellow up to about right here, I think. I'm not going to paint any higher than that. And then the thing that I will probably do, at some point, maybe after this Naples yellow has dried, is I might come in a few places and add just a few hints of like a blue, a very pale blue, just to kind of add an idea of sky color, but not a ton, like very, very little. Okay, so next I'm just going to get around these berries real quick. And it's okay to pull this across that area because I've got his chest way too big anyway. And then I'm just going to pull straight down next to his little feet. And there is going to be an idea of the ground or something there. So I'm going to leave the line down there. Okay, so let's see how we're doing. Not being very careful. The whole point of this art journaling process is to have fun. And it's no fun if you're having to force yourself to be perfectly staying in the lines. So we are not going to perfectly stay in the lines by any means. Okay, I'm just pulling a little yellow there. And now get around these leaves over here real quick. Just pulling that in super fast. I just like the contrast between the phthalo green and this Naples yellow. Okay, let's stop. Let's make our little ground level be there. So we'll get under the bird. And around here. And then later, if you decide you want to come back in over the top of any of these bottom layers and add more design or detail, you could do it with acrylic paint, or you could grab markers. Oh, sometimes grabbing your markers and just going to town with your markers can be a whole lot of fun. In fact, I have discovered a new obsession with gold markers. I love them. I love to outline things in gold. I just love them. Okay, so there's my Naples yellow. And let's see, while I have my paints out here, what do I have? I have light blue by Liquitex. I'm just gonna put the smallest bit of light blue, and I'm just gonna dash it around. Let me find a brush that's not too messy. Oh, that one's orangey. Okay, let's try that. Okay, I think I've cleaned it up a little bit. So now I'm just gonna kind of come in a few spots. And where's my white? I gotta grab my white. So let's get some white in here and lighten that up even more. And just kind of like here and there, I'm just putting these like hints of blue. And it's still wet, so it's not gonna be, it's gonna be a little bit muted. So I may come back after it's dry and do something a little bit different than that. Yeah, actually, I'm not really liking that at all. So I'm gonna go back in with my, which brush was I using for the Naples? Oh dear. Well, we'll wash this one off, and I'm going to come back into my Naples yellow, and I'm going to pull that right over the top of some of that, because I didn't really like how that came out. And I'll go over that later. Okay, last but not least, This is pretty dry, so I think I will grab this one, gold marker, and let's see how, oh, this is pretty skinny though. Yep, that's too skinny. Let's grab a thicker one. And you know, I might actually just go with black. If I can find one that I actually like. Let's see, here's a black one. That's very skinny also though. I was wanting one that was a little bit wider and I didn't plan ahead. So I'm not having that good of a time right now finding one. That's thin too. Goodness sakes. What happened to all my pens? Okay, I got a beautiful metallic pen here. Let's see if I can do this real quick. Just to kind of show you. So here's the verse. My God shall, now I have to try to do this without smearing the paint, shall supply all your need according this is very messy, to his riches and glory by Jesus Christ. And obviously I'm doing this quick because I'm live. If you wanted to wait and let your painting thoroughly dry and then choose a color and do it nice and slow so that it's not messy, you can do that. While I've got the markers out, I'm going to find, oh, here's a gold one that I really like. I'm just going to show you the fun that you can have with these leaves. So you can kind of pull your gold in and even just pull in some gold veins on the leaves. And you could do it every other leaf, so it's not every single leaf. And I'm going to pull a gold line right up the middle of this leaf too. So I'm not doing every single leaf with the veining, but I am going to go around each leaf with the gold. And it just, I don't know, it just adds something. Just adds a little something, something. So I'm kind of going around this leaf, and let's see. Let's put our veining on this one. And I'm going to leave those the way they are, and then I'll pull in some gold on these leaves. And I forgot to put my ground color in down here with my acrylic paints. Okay, let's do something different on these. Let's do some dots. So it's just throwing some gold dots in the center. Okay. Now, I kind of want to pick a ground, and since I had this, I kind of like the red. I know that's crazy, but this is not a painting that is about realism. That is not what our art journal is all about. It's just not. So I'm going to pull this bright red in for our ground. And I tend to like bright colors. I like serene colors too, but sometimes I just really go towards the bright colors. So why not embrace that? And we're going to give our ground this beautiful red color. I think it looks so pretty against the Naples yellow. And I think it looks really pretty against these leaves too. So now I'm just going to go in between his little toes. Right up here. So trying to go between his toes. That's kind of hard to do. And I don't need to come all the way down to the very, very bottom of the paper. So I'm just going to give my eye a line to stop. And let's get in around these leaves here. And these. Okay. There we go. Bright, bright, bright. And it's just the way I need it to be for me to remember this verse. That's the point. Okay. And then I might come back in when it's all dry again and cover over that. I didn't like what happened with that at all. So you can see my hands are a complete mess. Hey, I think some of you are watching. Tammy and Jean and oh my goodness, it's good to see you. So there we have it. There is our little quick art journaling page painting based on God's promise of provision. So if you want, I'm going to copy and paste these verses into the comments below this when I hit the off. So I'll put them below in case you want references to those verses. So thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful afternoon. Sherry Joy Collier signing off.